Today is Saturday, August 25th, 2018. Hello, and welcome to Weekly Astrology Notes for the week of August 26th through September the 2nd, 2018. Highlights for this week. Well, this weekend, the 26th and 27th, we're finishing up a wonderful week of self-development. This wonderful Grand Trine in Earth signs we're getting this weekend. Sun, Saturn, and Uranus. Sun in Virgo, Saturn in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus. Well, this is unleashing a lot of creative energy all weekend long. And the emphasis is on self-mastery, fulfilling your highest potential. That's not just because it's in Earth signs, but also because Saturn and Uranus are involved. As well, with the Sun in Virgo, which is the last sign below the horizon here, it's really concerned with perfecting yourself, doing what you need to do to get the most out of your mind and your body. And of course, it also relates to work, as well to opportunities for material enterprises. And for me, this Grand Trine is working out really well because it's manifesting as me teaching my very first Reiki class. It's going to be happening this Saturday, the 26th, exactly coincidental with this Grand Trine. So I'm really excited about that. And a good test of your resolve or self-mastery comes right away. We got the full moon, exact Sunday morning. Actually, it'll be really strong Saturday night as well. And then it'll be followed by Venus square Pluto on Sunday later in the day. But the big event this week, I think, is the Mercury square Jupiter. And the third pass we're getting is going to be on Monday the 27th. It's a point of culmination for this wonderful aspect, which is bringing a lot of things to light. It's tied in with a couple of really important things. First of all, it's tied in with the recent new moon in Leo, which is bringing revelations regarding the entertainment industry. And it's tied into Jupiter at the end of its death cycle in Scorpio, which is purging all that it needs to let go of before the start of the new cycle in Sagittarius, which will be arriving in November. So here we are at the last pass, and at the previous pass, we had that guy in Seattle steal an airplane and go for a joyride before he crashed it into an island, which I think was some sort of false flag, or at least it's something very different from the official story. There's a lot of things about it that are just quite unique and don't quite make sense. But anyway, this aspect could bring revelations about Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin. And that's because it's landing right on top of the natal Venus square Venus in their synastry. Hillary Clinton's Venus squares Huma Abedin's Venus, and this Mercury square Jupiter is going to land right on top of that. So this could get kind of interesting for them. And I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. And then after Monday, we just have moon aspects for the rest of the week. And I'll leave the daily summary for the description, which I always leave in there. So starting with Sunday, the 26th, very early in the morning, we got a couple of great moon aspects. The moon will be right in the middle of this Saturn trine Uranus. So we're going to get moon sextile Saturn and moon sextile Uranus. Actually, that'll be the first one. But they're very close together. So it has more to do with the self-mastery that we've been talking about with regards to this Grand Trine, because it's connected to all of that and actually forms a kite formation with the Sun opposition Moon, which of course is the full moon happening soon after. So with the moon sextile Uranus, it makes us ambitious. But in these signs, we're more looking inward, I think, because Pisces is more sensitive and looking for the spiritual side of things, the spiritual reason of why. And we can have a deep appreciation for others, a spiritual connection to others. Makes us very sensual. It's a good time for a massage and working with crystals and healing stones. And then the moon sextile Saturn, strong connection to the earth and to who you are as a spiritual being in this world. Kind of, that Pisces energy. We tend to think about our place in the grand scheme of things. And this sextile to Saturn makes us feel connected to that, very much connected to this world, as well as connected to the spirit world at the same time. More self-disciplined and willing to help those who truly deserve it. And then the full moon is happening early on Sunday morning. The moon will be at 3 degrees 12 minutes of Pisces. So we got the usual ups and downs as we experience a crisis for fulfillment, as we do at all the full moon times. And the full moon is the moment when our plans for the current month kind of come above the horizon. You can think about it as, the first 2 weeks is below the horizon, and then the full moon is like when it comes above the horizon. And it's revealed to the rest of the world. So at this time, we're more sensitive and in need of reassurance. And a lot of insecurities tend to come up. They arise, and strange or volatile behavior comes out of that, those insecurities. And this full moon, we're more open to the spirit world and can channel collective unconscious energies, sometimes unknowingly. It's because the moon's in Pisces. So we're very sensitive and we're very open to the spirit world. So spiritual hygiene is important to maintain during this time, I would say, especially Saturday evening. Otherwise, you may have a hard time interpreting those subtle vibrations around you and thereby get easily diluted. Virgo also likes to be really helpful, so you may be called upon to sacrifice your own needs for the sake of someone else. The ego drive is low as we are searching for the spiritual reason for why the things happen the way that they do. So we are a bit vulnerable and dreamy. And with the added Venus square Pluto energy, it's easy to misinterpret the signals you're getting from others. Think the worst of others' intentions. Think they're trying to undermine you in some way when they're not. So I would say that this full moon is more volatile than usual. More subconscious energies than usual arise. More potential for strange or even criminal behavior. Pluto is that way. And be careful with intoxicants, as they tend to have a stronger than usual effect when the moon is in Pisces. And then we're getting the Venus square Pluto aspect on Sunday, just after noon. And this one will be about 19 degrees of Libra to 19 degrees of Capricorn. And this one was included in last week's report, but I've pretty much rewritten most of the description. Found I needed to change some things. So relationships and all one-to-one encounters are a bit more difficult today. There may be power struggles, feeling dissatisfied because it's Venus squaring a planet in Capricorn, so just kind of not happy about the situation. There's money concerns because of Pluto, a desire for more money, and tempted to use secretive or subversive methods to pursue your goals. But as with all Pluto squares, there's a strong burst of energy, especially around midday when the aspect is exact. Brings lots of stamina and enables you to get a lot of work done. Disruptions to your personal space and to your tranquility may occur. So often that means in your home, especially since it's on the weekend. Most folks are not at work. So you may need to fix or repair something in your home. Generally, it's not a good time for social gatherings, as there is just a general tension in the air. It can be hard to relate to others, especially women, under this aspect. The Pluto square brings up intense feelings. Sometimes people are vindictive and ruthless, and we're just generally more demanding of others, not as diplomatic. It brings up strong emotions that can prevent you from relating to others in the easygoing way that you want to. Like that energy in the air. It's not really sure. It can be very restrictive and binding, and you're not really sure what to do. And those strong energies, prevent you from just being easygoing. It brings up impulsive and sudden actions, strong sex drive, and you feel secret desires. It brings disruptions or possibly outside interference into your relationship, because Pluto is a very transpersonal force, and sometimes that can mean something way outside of you that has a very powerful effect on you. In this case, maybe indiscretions are revealed. Nonetheless, this aspect is not necessarily bad for relationships because the strong sex drive may bring couples together. And relationships that start now are intense and sexual. And as with all Pluto squares, it's important not to get caught up in other people's drama. You may decide to sever yourself from restrictive bonds, prefer to work in secret, or isolate yourself from others. Okay, moving along to Monday, the 27th. We start in the early morning with the moon conjunct Neptune. So at the start of the work week, we're feeling rather sensitive and dreamy, closely connected to the spirit world around you, easy to absorb energy from those around you. Time to be at peace and meditate. Contemplate your place in the grand scheme of things. And also on Monday, Mars goes stationary direct. And that'll be at 28 degrees, 37 minutes of Capricorn. Okay. Oh, what an amazing Mars retrograde period it has been, hasn't it? So plans in the works during retrograde now move forward, especially now that Mercury is direct as well. And soon Saturn is going to go direct also. So on a personal level, there's been a lot of ego adjustments during this time. Egotistical positions that you have made have come back at you, or plans with friends have not worked out as expected, causing you to reflect, maybe change things. Maybe you experienced frustration with a particular issue in your life and you just couldn't seem to get your own way, even though you may have been perfectly justified. And this caused you to pull back and reevaluate the situation and try to find an innovative solution to the problem. Because that's what we need to do here, is grow in the Aquarius area quite a bit. And come up with more Aquarian innovative solutions. As well, the issue of money and friendships has been tested. Problems, inequities have been brought to light, and from this point forward, you've decided to do things differently. From now on, you're going to insist that your personal values are respected in your dealings with friends. And that is an important lesson, because I see this Mars square Uranus aspect as being really the gist of this whole Mars retrograde period, and the big learning lesson having to do with Mars in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. It really is the first test of the Uranus in Taurus era, a 7-year period of time when you need to learn the lessons of your own personal values, especially with respect to your dealings with friends and associates, and ensure that your values are being reflected. So there's been a lot of testing of personal values, and I think that this is just indicative of a lot of the stuff we're going to be experiencing over the next 7 years. So, and the most important lesson during this time will be knowing where other people are really coming from, knowing what their personal values are before you commit to a friendship or association. On the macro level, the square to Uranus has produced an incredible testing of Uranian ideals, freedom of speech, especially as it relates to the internet. Both of those things are Uranian in nature. And that's taken a serious blow, with lots of alternative media outlets being banned from major platforms. In addition, we saw this aspect making corresponding transits to both Peter Strzok and Lisa Page during the time of their testimony, and ultimately we got a really big awakening, if you're really willing to look for it. And now we see that all the internet and mainstream media corporations are clearly acting in unison. Now, many of us may have known that before, but now it should be clear to a whole bunch more people. And it just basically demonstrates that all of these corporations, they're controlling all of the news that we see on the mainstream. And if you look, you can now easily see the false culture of openness in the media. They're not really doing their job. They're supposed to be the fourth estate here in America to help preserve the democracy, and they clearly are not doing that. So we should all be much wiser after this retrograde period and able to move forward with more intelligence and awareness. Mars going direct means a final resolution of the Mars square Uranus aspect comes between now and the last pass on September 18th. So we're going to see more revelations about the pedophiles and how their network operation operates. And it's just an incredible explosion of information. And a lot of this has to do with the Mercury square Jupiter as well as the Jupiter trine Neptune. It's just a confluence of many events that are bringing a lot of things to light right now. And this Mars retrograde really did a great job. Okay, so moving on to the moon aspects. We got a couple of those in the early part of the day on Monday. We got Moon trine Jupiter in the morning. It's going to bring abundant compassion and forgiveness, as well as deep psychological insights about yourself and others. Kind of lowers the ego drive a bit too. It makes us very psychic, gives us lots of healing energy. Maybe we desire to be in a crowd, and as well, I think it would be a good time for business. And then in the early afternoon, just afternoon, Moon sextile Pluto. It's going to give us a burst of energy. It's much like the previous one because that was having to do with Scorpio. Makes us psychic, able to make a change for the better, and desire to help those who truly deserve it. So we got a lot of energy coming up on Monday morning that will keep us rather focused. A lot of this Scorpio energy, an intense drive, while the moon's in Pisces. And then moving along to what I think is going to be the most significant aspect for this week, happening late Monday night. It'll actually be early Tuesday morning on the East Coast. Mercury square Jupiter. So that one will be 16 degrees of Leo to 16 degrees of Scorpio. This aspect can make you say too much, because Mercury rules the voice and Jupiter tends to expand whatever it touches, so you might say too much. Act a bit foolish, overly optimistic, extravagant, a bit louder than usual. It produces lots of information as well. But we're not too concerned about the details because Jupiter isn't concerned about the details. So that's what happens there. As well, a tendency to make things seem bigger than they are, embellish the facts. Mercury rules speaking, writing, communication, use of the hands, all conscious mental processes. So all these things get a burst of energy and enthusiasm. So we're jovial, funny, creative, dramatic, especially with Mercury and Leo. Desire to be on stage. It's good for public speaking. You just have to be careful what you say because you could end up compromising yourself, saying something you later regret, or acting bombastic and professorial. Those are kind of the negative sides of Jupiter. And thereby getting into a disagreement. It brings out, as I should also mention, poor or lazy driving habits. So you need to be mindful, is what I'm trying to say here. Otherwise, other than that, it should make for a lively Monday evening, more crowds than usual for a Monday night, and a good time for business. And now at the third pass, it's been a time of revelations, bringing things to light. Particularly delicate issue for the Leo to Scorpio square. And that's what's so kind of interesting about this, from my perspective, is because, secrecy is a really important thing for the Leo to Scorpio square, and that's what gets blown out of the water with the Mercury square Jupiter. You say too much. So that's what makes it so kind of interesting. Mercury was conjunct the new moon in Leo. So the revelations that are coming about with this square to Jupiter, they're all directed towards the entertainment industry, which is ruled by Leo, rules the stage. So for sure this aspect has been one of a few, I think, that have played into the revelations regarding pedophiles in the entertainment industry and really in politics and so many other places. like the church. You know, there was a big arrest of a lot of priests who were basically operating a child porn network. I mean, it's just been amazing, the revelations that have come out lately. So we might see more news about that kind of stuff today. And now at the third pass, pretty much everyone knows about it. You know, the first two passes we're just learning, and now at the third pass we kind of all know about it. So lots of folks are probably going to be talking about that as well. And I got a few more things to talk about with respect to how this one could manifest, especially with regards to Hillary and Huma Abedin. But overall, it's a pretty exciting aspect. Brought a lot of interesting things to light, and I'm excited about the last pass. And for the rest of the week, we basically just have a bunch of moon aspects. So starting with Tuesday in the morning, we've got moon sextile Mars, a burst of physical energy in the morning. Good time for a workout. A feeling of strength and a sense of completeness brings peace of mind and maturity, because it's in the fourth quadrant here, which is the quadrant of self-transcendence. You get a sense of completeness. And the first aspect that Mars gets now that it's going direct. So I think you feel more in command with Mars in Capricorn. You command and control your life and your emotions, and therefore better able to deal with the things that you don't see. And then we've got a short void of course. We only have short void of courses this week, by the way. And then still on Tuesday morning, the moon enters Aries. So we're more headstrong for the next couple of days, able to take the initiative, more courageous, just be mindful of other people's rights, and a desire to start new projects, which would not be such a bad idea now that Mercury and Mars are both direct. It's rather challenging for the moon in Aries these days. Got 3 squares to Capricorn, means you may face challenges with authority figures who do not recognize your efforts. Okay. It also brings up kind of cantankerous energy sometimes. Especially with this one, the moon square Saturn. You know, makes you kind of feel like life is hard. Emotions slow down. Makes it hard to relate to others, and you feel isolated. The remedy with all of these Saturn aspects, the tough ones especially, is you need to stay in the present moment and not let pessimism get you down. Okay, moving along to Wednesday, the 29th. We're all the way into the evening for the first aspect, and that's moon square Pluto. And that one brings up intense emotions, more aware of what you're not getting. But the strong burst of energy can be productive. Work with great stamina and focus. I always mention that on the Pluto squares because, you know, if you internalize it, which is the tendency, you know, because we don't want to let it out, we're afraid to. You can utilize the energy, let it be released in a long, sustained drive, and it really brings out the best qualities of that Pluto energy. And as well, sexual tensions can arise. Generally not a good time for social gatherings. However, the next aspect is so close and kind of says the opposite. So that's interesting. We have a bit of a contrast here. Very close. They're only 10 minutes apart. Moon trine Mercury. So lots of creative energy. Very dramatic. Lots of communication. And folks not shy about saying whatever is on their mind. Moving along to Thursday, the 30th. Starting very early in the morning, Moon opposition Venus. This one brings general discontent, aggressive displays, because it's in Aries. Do not agree with the need for pleasant conversation. Venus in Libra really needs that. So it's not a good time for social gatherings. And then in the late afternoon, Moon square Mars. Much like the Moon square Pluto from yesterday, this one brings volatile emotions, overly aggressive, kind of judgmental. As well, it could bring up self-destructive behavior because it's Mars squaring a planet in Aries, its ruling sign. So you really need to be mindful of the rights of others. You may need to slow down and take some deep breaths. And then we've got another short void of course. until just a couple hours later when the moon enters Taurus. So we're more steadfast for the next couple of days, preferring to work on projects already started, in need of personal comfort and security. We're more relaxed, easygoing, as well as cautious and stubborn. It's a very nice time these days for the moon in Taurus. Got all these trines to earth signs and a sextile to Neptune. So I'd say lots of opportunities for material success and a good time for business over the next couple of days. And we start in the late evening on Thursday with Moon conjunct Uranus, which should bring some excitement to the evening. A burst of ambition, your unique qualities come to the surface. Sudden change of mood, spontaneous. Helps you break out of a stagnant pattern of behavior and find a change of scenery. But a little bit more grounded, soon thereafter, Moon trine Saturn. Emotions slow down. We're more introspective, methodical, focused on mundane matters, able to make the most of opportunities that come your way. So it's nice that it's getting caught up in the Uranus trine Saturn aspect we're having. Once again, it's good for fulfilling your highest potential and all that stuff I talked about with regards to the Grand Trine. Okay, moving along to Friday. We start in the morning with the Moon trine Sun. It's a bit different from the last occurrence, which we had on the 20th in fire signs. I noticed that particular occurrence of Moon trine Sun was very aggressive. I mean, I just had a lot of energy, a lot of creative energy. It was really great. Now the moon is part of this Grand Trine in earth signs, so I'm thinking it's going to be easy to find a good opportunity for material success and bring, again, a lot of creative energy, a lot of drive. And as always with the Moon trine Sun, insecurities subside and folks are more at ease with one another. It's a good time for business and any work-related negotiations with Sun in Virgo. Relations with co-workers are really good. And then in the evening on Friday, kind of a mellow aspect for Friday evening, Moon sextile Neptune. Makes us compassionate, sensitive, and because it's in Taurus, very sensual. Easy to use your intuition. The perfect time for a massage or for sharing hugs. Also a good time for working with crystals and healing stones. I always mention that with the Taurus to Pisces sextile. It's really great for that. And we're moving along to Saturday, September the 1st. We start in the middle of the night with the Moon opposition Jupiter. This one has emotions expand, feeling jovial, but a bit foolish and extravagant, overly generous and lazy, with poor financial judgment. But then, still in the early morning, on Saturday, Moon trine Pluto in earth signs, focused and headstrong, able to utilize resources at your disposal and make a change for the better. And that's that trine from Taurus to Capricorn. You can use your resources methodically and efficiently and productively and make progress on existing projects. Moon in Taurus loves to do that. Repair and maintenance around the home. And again, it's a good time for business. And then just around noon, we've got Moon square Mercury. Emotions interfere with normal communication processes. Hard to stay focused because the mind wanders. Lots of details. Not a good time for business. Eat slowly to calm your nerves. And then late in the evening, the Moon trine Mars. Much like the trine to Pluto this morning, able to use your emotional energy in a productive way. Make progress on existing projects. Make changes around the home. Lots of physical energy. It's a good time for a workout, even though it's late at night. It should make for an exciting Saturday evening. And then we've got another short void, of course, until just after midnight. The Moon enters Gemini. So we're more mentally active for the next couple of days. able to do two things at once, more talkative, need to write and send communication, solve problems, get more informed, spend more time focused in your conscious mind, and that tends to fry the nerves. So sometimes you need to kind of sit down and relax and calm your nerves. And then we finish up the aspects for this week with the last quarter moon. Moon square Sun, Gemini to Virgo. So we have the usual emotional ups and downs as we face the moment of judgment for this month's growth. You know, it's like that moment of that Saturn moment when we reach the pinnacle of all of our growth this month. So you can feel really successful or like life is a struggle. It's characterized by the Gemini to Virgo square. You know, Gemini is concerned with getting a little bit of information about many things, you know, like for transactions, lots of them. Lots of different, a little bit of information about many things. Whereas Virgo is concerned about a lot of information or details about just a few things. And the result with a square from Gemini to Virgo is too much information. Okay? And much of it is trivial and not useful. So you really need to discern, cut away what's not necessary for you. Okay, so that's it for the aspects this week. Okay, moving along to top stories and events for this week. Thought I'd start with Aretha Franklin. You know, she recently passed away, and I've got her birth chart, or at least I think it's the correct time. But what really matters, though, is at the time she passed away, her transits. And I was noticing she has Jupiter natally at 15 degrees of Gemini. So she was getting Jupiter, quincunx Jupiter, and Neptune square Jupiter. And this was coincidental with the Jupiter trine Neptune that we were having last week, which kind of produces a time of endings. And I should note that the only aspect in astrology that has a reputation for coinciding with someone's death is the quincunx. And that's exactly what we see here, the Jupiter quincunx Jupiter. And I think with the Neptune square Jupiter, you know, she was really ready to leave because she really wanted to take a long journey. Neptune square Jupiter. You know, Neptune has no boundaries. And Jupiter just keeps expanding and says, yes, yes, go ahead, expand more. So it's this very expansive transit she was having. The desire to take a very long journey. And with the Sun at 23 degrees Leo, right on top of her midheaven, I believe I got the right birth time there. If that's the case, you know, it's like she went straight to heaven. So my prayers are with her. She's a beautiful human being, and I just thought I'd mention her transits since she passed away. And also sort of as an intro to talk about these quincunxes. And because we're getting this yod formation on Monday. So for that, we're going back to the image for Monday, the same day that we have the Mercury square Jupiter. And you can also see that Mercury is at the tip of a yod formation, making quincunxes to Pluto in Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces, with a sextile between the two. Now recall, this is the same yod configuration we had at the new moon. So all this, you'll see here, the new moon at 18 degrees of Leo, Mercury was in there as well. So all this I'm saying here pretty much goes for the entire lunar cycle that started on the 11th. And this is just a real high point at the early part of this week. So this yod configuration, this is often called the finger of God. It's a fateful karmic configuration that compels you both internally and externally. We are swept up in a moment of passion and swept up by the passion and ambitions of others. So like I said, it goes both ways. Its effect is often subtle, yet profound, and pain often accompanies it. In this case, because it's towards Mercury, I'm seeing this as this yod brings you a powerful message regarding your own creative talents, because it's in Leo. And on a group level, it brings a powerful message regarding the entertainment industry, also because of Leo. Now, it operates on both an inner and outer level. On an inner level, you can feel an imperative from the universe or your higher self. A powerful message comes to you, maybe from deep within. Maybe a memory is jostled and you recall something you really wanted to do with your life, with your creative energy, with your life force. And this forces you to make an adjustment to your thinking. It compels you to do something powerful that reflects your soul, your passion for life, and you really want to demonstrate your value to the community, to the collective, particularly using your voice or writing, because it's Mercury. And in Leo, you really seek to express your creative talent, be on stage, while at the same time doing something good for the community. You know, the quincunx is sometimes referred to as a double-edged sword, and that's because it needs to cut in both directions, inner and outer. And that means you need to do something good for yourself as well as something good for the community. And on a group level, we are getting this huge message that's coming through, this profound message in the form of a big revelation about pedophiles in the entertainment industry. One which is causing everyone to make a serious adjustment to their thinking, which is what you'd expect at this time with this big quincunx pointing towards the full moon and now Mercury. And also, we're going through a leap of faith because of the quincunx is also to Neptune. So there's a certain element of needing to surrender your thinking process. And in a way, you know, we're listening to all of these people on YouTube who don't really have any proof about these incredible accusations, yet deep down inside we know it's all true. Despite the fact that we can't see it, we believe it. So there's this Neptune factor that's coming into play. And after all this stuff does finally come out with proof, people aren't going to want to watch the movies anymore, which is something we should all be seriously considering now that we know the kind of energy behind so much of the so-called entertainment we consume. So it's going to cause a real schism in the mind, disconnect us from our previous notion of Leo, and give us an opportunity to express that for ourselves, a rebirth of your own passion and creativity. And when you put this inner message and outer message together, you get this really powerful message that not only transforms the entertainment industry, but transforms you, unleashes your creative talent. And the same is going to be happening for millions of other people around the world, especially here in America. So you may be getting a strong personal message from higher self now. Maybe one that directs you to use your voice or writing or creativity with your hands for the good of everyone concerned, for the good of the community. It awakens your passion for life and encourages you to merge with others to improve conditions for everyone. You know, every yod brings a strong need to get involved in the healing of the community, help others transform their lives for the better. And this one, of course, is no different. This same yod, like I said, it's been here since the new moon, and it's just really strong, and it's going to get activated at the early part of this week. The powerful configuration acts like a finger of God, pointing us in the direction that we need to look for our spiritual growth. And this month, on a personal level, you need to make a faithful decision regarding your creative talent and force yourself to express it through speaking and writing. Force yourself to take center stage in your own life and not let circumstances beyond your control or the ambitions of others knock you off your path. I am thinking that once everyone wakes up to the truth of the entertainment industry, they will want to entertain themselves from now on with their own creative talents, or at least seek something that's a lot more humane and a true reflection of who they are. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, this Mercury square Jupiter we're having on Monday the 27th is going to have an effect on the relationship between Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin. You'll see here, Hillary has got her natal Venus at 16 degrees of Scorpio. And if we jump quickly to Huma's chart, you'll see that her Venus is at 16 degrees of Leo. So, going back to Hillary here, so she's going to be getting Jupiter conjunct Venus and Mercury square Venus, and Huma will be getting the Jupiter square Venus and Mercury conjunct. So the point is, the two of these have got a very tight Venus square Venus in their natal chart, and this Mercury square Jupiter is going to land right on top of it. And this is the same Mercury square Jupiter that has been bringing a lot of revelations. The Leo to Scorpio square is one that really requires a certain level of privacy and secrecy. But the Mercury to Jupiter square, stuff gets revealed. So it's like the opposite effect. And here it is, right on top of their Venuses. And I thought that that was quite amazing. So, also this week for Hillary, you'll notice the position of Uranus here at 2 degrees, 23 minutes of Taurus. By Friday, the 31st, she's going to be getting Uranus opposition Sun this week. So on top of all this Mercury-Jupiter stuff, it's Uranus opposition Sun, the second pass. And for her, a very disruptive transit, because both Uranus and the Sun love to bring things to light. And she's got Sun in the 12th house. So that's, she's got a lot of stuff in the 12th house. Things done in the dark, or things that are hidden from view. And Uranus is going to bring a lot of stuff to light. And with these two planets in opposition, we're bound to see some new facts about her come to light, as well as the Mercury square Jupiter. And it just seems so synchronistic. It's just amazing that this is happening right at this time. There is a new video that's gone out on the dark web, supposedly. I've heard about it through some other videos on YouTube. You might want to research it yourself. It's quite a rabbit hole if you want to dive down that one, but it's quite amazing the kind of stuff that's coming out right now, and about the both of them and so many other people. And seeing this going on, I definitely wanted to point it out. So that's all for this week. Please check out my website, tomsocalm.com, and thank you to my subscribers and supporters. And I do count on your donations. And if you'd like, please donate. You'll find donation buttons for Patreon and PayPal in the lower right-hand corner of the flower image on my channel homepage. And my Twitter feed, TomJordan364. You can follow me for regular announcements. And please contact me if you're interested in a natal or transit reading. I'm available for consultations on a regular monthly basis. And I'm also a Reiki master. As a matter of fact, this coming weekend, I'm going to be teaching my first Reiki class as a Reiki teacher. So all of this Jupiter trine Neptune and the Grand Trine in Earth signs is working out perfectly for me, making perfect synchronicity with exactly what the aspects say we should be doing. So I'm really excited to be not only telling you about this, but really practicing it in my own life and finding it very useful, very fruitful. So you can contact me for a Reiki healing, a long-distance Reiki healing, or a psychic reading at mobilestart7@yahoo.com, or the weblog where I post the transcripts of these weekly videos. Links are in the description. So that's all this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. Once again, thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Many blessings, and have a